Hello, it's Kerry here, and it is Tuesday chat time again. I'm just checking everything is working. Seems to be good. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me okay. All right. I also need to find my notes. All right, I hope everyone's had a great week. I have been traveling. We did the Great Ocean Road. Along it goes from pretty much the bottom of Victoria, I suppose. Not all the way, from kind of Warrnambool through to where at Aireys Inlet, which is pretty much where it finishes. And then we're moving up to Ballarat today. So after this, we got to pack up the van and head off. Well, let me turn my phone off. So yes, so on the move today, we've been moving a fair bit doing the Great Ocean Road, but it has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. The scenery. Wow. Just just those cliffs and the 12 apostles and all of that stuff. Just amazing. So very beautiful part of Australia. We haven't had the greatest of weather. We left we left South Australia and we spent the whole month in South Australia with perfect blue skies. It got a bit windy in some places, but not a chance of rain. Yet the minute we got into Victoria, it became overcast. So I still haven't really had any rain. A few showers, but nothing much. But it's been a bit overcast. So my photos of the around the 12 apostles and that are good, because like okay, we didn't have the sun hitting them, but I did have I think clouds can sometimes add a bit of drama, can't it, to a photo? So I feel like my photos are a bit more dramatic. Let's put it that way. Hi, Jennifer and Kath. Glad you're joining me. Um, all right. So this morning, I thought we were talking last week. Karen's on as well. Great. We were talking last week about sort of why it's never too late to get into art. And I thought today we would talk a bit about, again, for complete beginners, um, what, what sort of art supplies you need, because it can be very confusing. Hi, Jane and Bev. So I thought we could sort of just have a little chat about choosing the right materials for beginners and try and break that confusion a little bit. Okay. And hopefully make it a little bit affordable, I suppose. I'm going to say that you need good art, good quality supplies. I'm not going to suggest you buy budget stuff, but but being able to limit, not having to go and buy a million things. Okay. When it comes to pastel, it can become expensive, but I think if you know what you're looking for and what to buy, what you essentially need, then you can get out of it for it. You're still going to have really great quality, but it'll be the least amount spent. So, hi Liz as well. Um, okay, so um, I know we've all probably spent a lot of money on art supplies, and I know as you get more and more into your art and love it, you will spend a lot on your art supplies. And that's fine, but I'm sort of want to break confusion for beginners and so they don't have to spend a fortune. Okay, so and also not waste money on the wrong supplies, I suppose, because I do find, I know myself when I first tried pastel, um, I bought, this was a long time ago before like Pastel Mat and some of these other papers came on the market, I suppose. But I bought what I thought was pastel paper because it said it was, but instead it's that one, we've probably all seen it. It's like a rough cardboard, and I did that. I did a bird painting, And it's okay, but I did struggle. I thought, I'm not a fan of this. So I then started, I went to oils more and started using oils. And but then I found oils, I was ruining every brush I had, and I wasn't cleaning my palette, and just a messy artist that I am. Um, and it wasn't until I went to a workshop and he showed me the sanded papers for pastel that I went, oh, okay. So I had wasted money on the wrong paper, but it actually put me off for quite a number of years of even going back to pastel. I just had written them off. So that's an example of buying the wrong stuff, and the wrong paper is what I see so many people do. And it's not your fault, of course, because a lot of these papers all claim to be pastel paper, but that's like the biggest no and the biggest waste of money. And then I also see people who first get into it, they're buying because they're cheaper, these pastel pads. Like I think a lot of the cheaper shops, your $2 store type of shops, they'll have a lot of these pads in there. They're only a few dollars, and when you compare that to say one sheet of pastel mat, a lot of beginners are going to go with that. And I think we have this mindset that we're just learning, so we don't need good quality. And it's a terrible mindset to be in because you're making it so much harder on yourself. Um, and when you know the right supplies, you're not going to buy heaps, but just the right ones, then it's not as expensive. But yeah, it's definitely something. If you want to take it seriously, you kind of need the right stuff. But I know when you're first starting out, you're not sure if you even like it. So I suppose you don't want to spend the money. But if you buy, it's pastels are funny. If you buy the wrong paper is the main thing. It'll put you off. It's not like, say, acrylics, maybe watercolor, but acrylics especially, you can use cheap acrylics, you can use any type of cheap surface, and you'll still learn how to use acrylics. And then as you get better, you can then buy the dearest stuff. But pastels, you're gonna struggle if you don't have the good quality, and it'll put you off. You won't be able to learn how to build layers with pastel if you're not using the right paper. Um, and and like I said, it'll just frustrate the hell out of you. So um, that's why I thought I'd go through and really make sure I let everyone know what I think of the essential stuff. Um, all right. I'm just looking at my notes here. Um, and also I saw the comments were going by. Don't cheap out on the paper. Yeah, exactly, Karen. And you couldn't believe the difference it made. Definitely. That's why when I run some of the pastel challenges and I see people using the cheaper paper, I always say if they've done a great job anyway, um, but I always sort of suggest go and get yourself some good quality paper and do it again, and you'll really see the difference. So, and yeah, they do. It just makes it much harder on yourself if you're not using the right stuff. So, all right, I've got a question for you. Have you ever bought an art supply that didn't work as expected? Um, I'm trying to think what I've bought a lot of art supplies, and yes, I'm sure I did. Um, Usually sharpeners are one of mine that don't work as expected. I've gone through a million of them. But all right. So okay. So of course, a lot of beginners feel overwhelmed, especially when you go into an art store or you're browsing online, especially. It's very hard. Um, Again with pastels because um to try and buy pastel sticks online, unless you know what the brands are, it's very hard to know if they're a soft pastel or a harder pastel. So I find I'm talking pastel sticks here, they all come in varying degrees of hardness and softness. And I find like the Kmart pastels, so the really cheap ones. First of all, they probably aren't light fast at all, but they're very hard. It seems to be the cheaper the pastel, the harder they are. And if you want to do work like similar to me, we're doing more realism in animal nature art and that you need to build layers up. And so the best paper to build the layers, I feel, is pastel mat. And a hard stick on pastel mat doesn't work. It scratches and it doesn't blend. So again, using the cheaper, you might get the really good pastel matte paper, but then you might use really cheap hard sticks and you're going to be frustrated again. So the softer the pastel, the better you're going to blend on pastel matte. The harder sticks are okay on the sanded papers, but then I find the sanded papers, you can't build the layers up as well. So I suppose it also comes down to what style of art you want to create. If you want to work a lot looser and just work in sticks, then maybe some harder sticks are fine, but you need to use a sanded paper. But if you want to create fine detail and build up a lot of layers, then that's where a softer stick and pastel mat is better. So I suppose that's the one thing you need to ask yourself first, of what type of art you want to do. So, Kath, your paper has arrived and your half sticks. Yay, that's exciting. Dye your sharpness too. Um, Art Spectrum Soft Pastel. I've just bought a few sticks, but I've not yet tried. Vivian, Art Spectrum have beautiful soft pastels. They have two sorts. They have the normal, just like stick. Can't think of what the shape is called. But then they also have their extra soft, which are a rectangular block, and the extra soft are comparable to Schminky, okay, in softness. So I have quite a lot of the Art Spectrum extra soft pastels. They're the blocks, and they're beautiful, really, really nice pastels. And they're probably a bit cheaper as well. They're a cheaper brand than a Schminky, but I would compare them. They're softer than Unison. They're softer than Sennelier. They're very similar to the Schminkies, and they are very nice. And the Art Spectrum sticks like that, the rectangular blocks, they do them in sets. I've got an arid landscape set, which is perfect for Australian colours. It's such a great set. It's got all the blues of the sky, the olive greens, the sand colors. But what I also like, they'll do like a set of warm grays and a set of cool grays or a set of blue tones. And yeah, they're really great in that. So definitely the standard sticks by Art Spectrum, little bit harder. They're similar to a Rembrandt. I would put them in the same level as them. So to me, I'm not, they're all right, but they don't blend great, just their standard ones. Okay. So with Art Spectrum, I'd be buying the rectangular blocks. Okay. Odette's had 9 sharpness. Oh, when your Carbothellos turn up with one double color, so one missing. Well, that's frustrating. Um, Yes, I use Art Spectrum pastels all the time. Liz, the Australian grey. Oh, wait on. Are we talking? Hold on. Yeah, Viv, I'm talking the pastel sticks. I think, Liz, you might be talking. The Australian grey is pastel paper in Art Spec. That's the arts? I think Liz is talking the paper. Hi, Julie. Yeah, Vivian, if you want the greys, yeah, I've got both sets. I've got the cool grey and the warm grey, and they're really good. And they're pretty big, chunky pastels, so they last a while. Okay, so I've sidetracked a little bit here. Um, okay, so like I said, when you walk into an art shop, it looks amazing, like especially an art shop that has the like a full range of pastels, they have the whole shelf with all the different pastel sticks on there. It looks like a lolly shop, really. Um, but it can be very, very confusing for people first starting out. Because there is a lot to choose from, and you don't realize that pastel brands have different hardnesses. And like I said, you really got to figure out what you want to do and what paper you're working on, and that will help you figure out what brand and what hardness of pastel. So they're the sticks. Pencils also come in different degrees of hardness. And I'm going to share my screen because I've created it's an Amazon um, page, I suppose, on Amazon, where I've put all of my like my essential supplies on, I think, because and that way you can just go there and have a look. You don't have to buy on there, but you can have a look. Just let me, hold on, bear with me. I don't want to lose my notes, and I've got to share my screen. There's so many buttons to click, and now I've lost everything. I need that is what I need. There we go. Back to Zoom, share my screen. There we go. Okay, so is this? Yeah. All right. So I've got essential pastel supplies, essential charcoal supplies, and essential graphite supplies. Okay, and I know we're all visual, so if I gave you just a list of it just written, you wouldn't be happy with that. So I thought this is a best way to show all the different supplies I use. Okay, so all right, with pastels, of course, most of you that are on here at the moment already know what pastels are. But the soft pastels, this one is this little echidna. Um, this is essentially the type of work I do. So more detailed, kind of realism, and a lot of pencil work. Okay, so let me go back there. So we'll go into the pastel supply list, which is right here. And I've got it sort of listed in most important, but these are pretty much what I use all the time. So first and foremost, the most important I feel is my Stabilo Carbothello pencils. Okay, look at them, aren't they beautiful? Um, so even if they weren't always on sale on Amazon, I would still buy them because they are exactly the right hard or softness that I like. Okay, this is the only set of pastel pencils I own. I have a couple of Faber-Castell Pip pastels, and I have a couple of Derwent pastel pencils, but I really don't use them. I use one Pip pastel, which is really dark brown, but you don't have to. You can get away with just this set. So this is my big recommendation to get started if you want to learn the style that I do. Um, then the pencils I think are the most important. And Amazon is definitely the best place to buy them. They can be up to $300 in an art shop, but Amazon, they're always sitting around that 130. They were 150 a few weeks ago. They've been down to 120. And one of my students, Odette, saw them. They were only 80 something dollars if you're a Prime Amazon Prime member at one stage. So, but average they sit around that 130, which is half the price of in an art shop. Okay, but that whole set right there, it's 60 pencils. So, and it is the cheapest way to buy them. If you buy them individually, you'd be paying $5 to $7 per pencil. And when I've gone through and looked at what I use, I don't use all of them, but I do use, it's cheaper just to buy the set. And even if you could maybe for a birthday or Christmas ask friends and family to give you vouchers or money towards a set, that would be my number one. Second is pastel matte paper. So, of course, there is quite a few good quality pastel papers. There's a lot of sanded papers that are great, but for the type, again, I'm talking about the style of work that I do. Pastel matte is my favorite. I still believe it you can build the most layers, and to do realism, building those layers is really important. And it's very forgiving. Pastels in general are a very forgiving medium. You can fix a lot of mistakes. So you don't have to stress. Like say watercolor, say if you bought a really good quality watercolor paper, um, watercolor is very hard, and if you mess it up, that's it, you're done. Whereas pastel matte, if you put something, I've seen people move an eye with pastel matte. They've drawn the eye has been a little bit too far to the right, so they've put sticky tape on top of the eye, peeled it off, and then moved it across. And or probably not move it across, but the whole eye like it came off on the sticky tape so they could then draw it. So you can remove the pastel from the paper and go again. And if worse comes to worse, you can actually wash it off and start again. But this is probably I buy my pastel mat by the sheet because it's the cheapest way to do it. It's about I think I buy from Soft Pastels Australia, and that last I bought some, they were about 18 to $20 for the full sheet, and you can then cut it down to whatever size you want. But on Amazon, I've picked this pad here. The other thing with Pastel Mat too, it has glassine between each sheet, or it used to. I don't know if it still does with the pads, which is really handy as well. Um, but this, I use this different pads. They're numbered differently, so they have different colors in them. This is pad number 4. And I know I use sand, light gray or light blue is fine, and the dark blue is like a darker gray. I don't really use this wine color, but you could. It wouldn't matter because we totally cover our work. Um, than any of those colors, but I just thought that was a good color choice there. Um, all right, let me go back to where I was. This one. Okay, so I've only listed pastel matte paper on here, because that's all I use essentially. Um, yeah, I was experimenting a bit with some of the papers, but I really don't use it. So I'm trying to keep it as simplified as I can for anyone first starting out. So those are the two main things, and then need a soft tool, okay, to blend with, and your pastel sticks. Now, the pastel sticks I use for the backgrounds, um, but that echidna didn't actually have any pastel stick on it, really. That background was all done in pencil. So up to you. If you're just starting, I think learning with the pencils is really important. But your sticks you can buy individually as you go. But I also would recommend if you were looking to buy a set of sticks, go with the half stick set. Okay. A lot of brands do half sticks. I've just listed the two that I like and I recommend here. Sennelier, a lot of my students have the Sennelier set, because they're probably a bit more affordable than the Schminky. I'm not sure what I've got here. Um, hmm, I don't know. Price wise, I'm not sure on this one with Amazon. Definitely do not think you need to buy on Amazon. Look around. Okay, but this set here is a great set. It has all these wonderful colors, and that's Sennelier. And then my favorite is Schminky. So I think they're just beautiful. Um, So this set here is, I think it's a landscape set. I did have a picture of the colors in it, which is right there. Okay, and you can see a set like this, it's got like some greens and browns and blues. You know, there it's sort of a starter set, but the idea is a half stick set. You're getting double the amount of colors for your money, essentially. You can buy smaller half stick sets. Or you, like I said, you can just buy individual sticks as you go. Okay, but yeah, I just look around, have a look. Softpastels.com.au is another great site. Unison, a great brand as well. Um, they do some smaller little half stick sort of sets. But yeah, your pastel sticks, I don't think are as important as your pencil set. Okay. And then once you do get some sticks, so you then need some tools to blend with. So I usually use these Pan Pastel soft tools for blending, which are brilliant. And you can wash the covers if you don't rip them, you can wash them. So you just need to be pretty light with them. But I also found I've bought some of these. I bought some like this on Temu, and they were pretty cheap and they were pretty bloody good actually. They're nearly identical to the pan pastel ones, so they worked well as well. So sponge tools, you can use all different things. Some people use makeup sponges, whatever you want. Um, then I've also got to sharpen my pencils with pastel. I've tried every sharpener, but I always go back to a knife and a sanding block. Pretty much just a knife, actually. But if you struggle to get a sharp point with just using your knife, then a sanding block is handy. Then we've got some glassine paper. Glassine's really important to rest your hand on, and also is really great to put between your artwork to protect it. But like I said, if you buy a pastel matte pad, it already has glassine between sheets. And then last couple of things, some tracing paper to transfer your line art onto your onto your paper. And then a backing board. I just use MDF as a backing board. Just pastel matte curls a bit. So I like to tape it down to a backing board, and I just use clear sticky tape to do that. Okay, I find just clear old sticky tape works best on all pastel papers, even the sanded ones. Okay. All right, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second because I need to be able to see if there's any comments. I wanted to also run through the charcoal and graphite as well. Hope you are going to pass through Newcastle. Oh, I don't think we are, Odette. I'd love to stop in Newcastle. The soft pastels store is there that I buy a lot of my work, a lot of my supplies from. Only 85 on Amazon in the US. Cool. That's a good price. That probably equates to I'm not sure what version would be on that, Karen. 85 US for the Carbothello pencils, Karen saying on Amazon US. But Sennelier, yes, Kath, I recommend that a half stick of Sennelier do a great range of half sticks. And they're really nice. Pretty much all my students, my in-person students at my work, my weekly sort of art class back home all have the Sennelier set. It's a really great set. Um, okay. And then I just wanted to quickly, I'm just gonna have to share this screen again. Hold on. I want to go back to where I am. Oh my God, you think I'd be more professional by now? All right. So then of course, so that's the soft pastels. Then we've got our charcoal, which like the sheep here is the charcoal, and graphite. So I'm sort of showing these for people who aren't sure, they're totally new to this. And the little hedgehog here is graphite. Okay, so I'll go into the charcoal one. Now, these are going to pretty much double up for the graphite one. So if you can't afford, you want to get started with realism or animal art and that, and you can't afford pastels, then I suggest start with graphite or charcoal. I teach all three in the Creative Barn membership, and they all sort of go hand in hand together. If you get good at charcoal and graphite, you're going to learn your values and your textures, and that'll just enhance your pastel work when you can afford to move on to color. Okay, so I think I would rather you start with this and get good at this, like the charcoal or graphite, than buy really cheap quality pastels and struggle and be turned off. So if you can't afford to buy decent quality, and like I said, there's not a lot there. There's just a couple of things you really need to get started. If you can't afford that at all, then start with charcoal and graphite and maybe worry about color later. Okay, so my go-to charcoal pencils are the Generals. I think they're a great low cost charcoal pencil, and I get the 2B. 2B is probably the best all rounder. And the reason I like the Generals, then I've seen some students use some different brands. Um, Especially I've seen the Montmartre brand, and it seems to be more brown than black, whereas the Generals are a nice rich black. So then they're not too expensive. On Amazon here, they are a bit more expensive. I know I can go to my local art shop and they sell these Generals charcoal pencils individually for probably $5 or less, and you only need one. So I couldn't find them really any cheaper other than these sets on Amazon. But I've listed them on here so you can actually see what they look like. But I'd shop around for these because I know you can buy one for $5. So, then the General's charcoal white pencil. So you want a black and a white. Okay. So white charcoal obviously is a chalk or a pastel, maybe. I'm not sure. This little set, it's still expensive because these are usually only about $5 each as well. But it does come with a sharpener. So, and you'll see I've got on here as well the general sharpeners here. They're again, usually you can pick them up for $4 or $5, and they're a great little sharpener. Okay, so I do use the sharpener for my charcoal or graphite, but not my pastels. Okay, so straight up, you want to, they're the two, like a black and a white. And they can only cost like $10 if you buy one of each from an art shop. Then I've got listed here, I also use compressed charcoal. So compressed charcoal is the same as what's in the pencil, but they're stick form. And this would last you a lifetime. It's a whole box of 12 of them. So again, you don't need a whole box, you only need one. But yeah, they're just a compressed stick. And they're great for doing a really dark background. Then I've got my vine charcoal sticks. So you might have heard them as a willow stick or a vine stick, and they're the ones that look like a burnt piece of stick. But they're great for sketching. And they rub out really easy. Okay. So, and then of course we've got our paper blending stumps, tortillons, they're called as well. And you can get these from any cheap shop as well. They're just paper. There's no right brand or anything. They're just paper stumps. And that's what I use to blend. Then we've got a couple of rubbers here. The Tombow Mono Zero eraser. This one is ideal for getting into any fine areas, and it's also brilliant for pulling out first strokes. And this is my essential go-to rubber is the kneadable eraser and Faber-Castell. Okay, make sure you get this brand. They're the perfect. Again, they some of the cheaper brands are really hard, whereas the Faber-Castell are perfect. Okay, and that again, you can buy them singly. They're cheap. That's not a bad price for two. Usually they're only $3 or $4 each. So that's pretty good. And the Tombow price is pretty good on here. Um, then I use some charcoal powder, which is just see the vine or the vine sticks I've got up here. Charcoal powder is just that sanded down. Okay, so you don't have to buy powder. You can just buy your sticks and just sand it down to create a powder, or put it in a mortar and pestle and get it really nice and powdery. I use charcoal powder for the background, so that's definitely part of my process. And then the paper for all my charcoal and graphite, I use Archer's hot press watercolor paper. I like you don't have to, of course, you can experiment with different papers, but it's the one I love for both of them. Um, and I use hot press because it's smooth and I can get finer details than, say, a cold press paper, which is textured. Now, a lot of people like textured paper on charcoal, and I think it looks amazing. Um, but for me, when I want to try and do really tight details, I find the smooth paper better. And then again, we've got pretty much the same, oh, not quite the same. Hold on. We've got a scale divider proportional tool down here. If you want to freehand, sometimes with the charcoal, I like to be a lot looser. So rather than trace a line art, I like to use a scale divider to get my sketch down. I just feel it frees it up a little bit. And I work a bit bigger. So that's usually I use that if I'm working a bit bigger. Then of course we've still got the glassine, the tracing paper, the backing board, but instead of clear sticky tape, which I showed you for my pastels, I'm the sticky tape will rip your paper. So I use a low tack masking tape, which is frog tape. And then fixative. So charcoal and graphite, you can use fixative, but pastel you cannot. So that's why it's not listed in the pastels. Okay, and then I'll just quickly go back. And you'll see this is the graphite supplies. Everything in here is the same except the front two. Okay, all the other supplies are exactly the same. So, and again here on Amazon, this is all I swear by Caran Dash Graphwood pencils. Okay, I have this full set, but you do not need this full set. I've never used I use three. So I use a 2H, a 2B, and an 8 or 9B, whatever's the darkest B you can get. Okay, so you don't need the full set, but this is what I found on Amazon, just so you can see what it is. But they're Graphwood, they're called, and they are absolutely beautiful graphite pencils. They blend so well. Okay, so I would suggest, and I think you can buy them individually for around $5 each. So my what I've been doing now, I get the two graph woods, so a 2H, which is a light, a 2B, which I use all the time, which is your medium. And then what I've also been doing, because sometimes graphite, the darker ones can create a shine, which I don't like. So that's why I've listed these. These are Faber-Castell bought out a Pitt graphite matte pencil. So they're dark, but they don't have any shine to them. So I just have one of these. I went to my art shop, I think, and they were selling them individually, and I bought one. Okay, so you just a 10B or a 12B would be fine with that. Okay, so that's it. So you really only need with graphite three pencils, a light, a medium, and a dark. So a 2H, a 2B, and a 8B or 10B. Okay. And then so graphite I would say is probably the least amount of supplies you need. And honestly, you don't even need any of this. You can just get a HB pencil that you've probably got at home and just a rubber. I'd still suggest something to blend with, but even a cotton ball, cotton cotton bud. That's what I'm trying to think. Even just a cotton bud would work fine. Okay. So so that's what I wanted to really get across. I don't know how to find Facebook. I want to really get across that try not to buy really cheap inferior products because it will make your learning experience a lot harder. Um, especially with pastel. If you can't afford the good quality stuff, then maybe yeah, start with some of the other options like the graphite and that, and then as you can afford it, get into the pastel a bit more. I know a lot of people say I'll just start with student grade and all this, but I feel that works with acrylics and other mediums. I don't really think it works with pastel. I think you're making your job a lot harder. Um, which retractable pencil do you use? Jane, I didn't even think about that. When I'm transferring a line art, um, I put, say if I, whether it's pastel or charcoal, I put pastel on the one side and then I flip it over and put it on my paper. And that's the only time is when I use a retractable pencil is to then go over that line art. And it's only because I like how fine the line is on a retractable pencil. But you could just use a HB pencil or something to do that with. But there is no particular brand there. I just went to Officeworks and bought a pretty pink retractable pencil. So any retractable is fine. If you're going to use a retractable pencil to draw with, to do graphite drawings, most of them come with a HB lead. You can buy 2B leads for them. So I usually buy a pack of 2B leads and put those in instead. Okay. They're just a bit softer to draw if you're going to draw with a retractable graphite pencil. Change the lead to a 2B. Um, Leslie, you're freezing as well. I might, oh, we must freeze. Oh, all right. I'm going to remove that comment. Okay, that's where I went wrong with my sheet. Oh, okay. You use hot press watercolor paper instead of cold. Yeah, it's still like the technique and that is the same. And some people love the textured look, but if you feel like you want to do more detail, say in the eyes and stuff, then the hot press is yeah, the HP. Oh, there you go. Jennifer said Faber-Castell has a really nice retractable pencil. It's 2B. I find with the retractable pencils, just go to Officeworks or a newsagent or wherever you can find them and just feel the weight. I know myself, I like something with a little bit of weight to it. So that's how I would determine if I like it or not, but everyone's different. So, all right, let me just try and find my notes again and see how I'm going. Um, Okay, so, but also what I was saying before, I just want to mention as well for anyone new that soft pastels, I think, are a very beginner-friendly medium as well. So, because, like I mentioned earlier, they're very forgiving. So you can fix mistakes quite easily, whereas some of the other mediums are a bit harder to do that. And when you compare, I know like with watercolor, you can start off getting cheaper watercolors, like student grade and that. But you again with watercolor, you'll find when you get a good quality watercolor, it blends better and spreads better and has no little bits in it, as well as the paper with watercolor. A cheaper paper might soak it in quicker or you'll get a different effect. So it's like learning any type of art medium. It's already hard to learn art, to learn to draw and to learn to use these mediums, like to be creative. It's hard anyway. Like everyone says it takes 10,000 hours to master it, sort of thing, you know. So why make it harder on yourself? You know, it's already hard to learn how to get really good at this sort of stuff. So you may as well make it a bit easier on yourself by using the good quality stuff, but yeah, just the essential good quality stuff that you need. You don't need to go and buy every set of pencils and every set of sticks and you know every different color pastel mat paper, which I know, like, I'm talking to a lot of students here that probably have a lot of this stuff because the better you get and the more you get into your art, the more you buy this stuff because you just want to, because you love it so much. But I think for starting out, definitely, um, definitely just try and limit it. Jane, I don't know. If I find the pink one, I think I just got it from Officeworks. Um, I'll see if I can find a brand on the little pink retractable pencil I use. I've got a white one and a pink one, and they're the same brand, and I'm positive I bought them from Officeworks. Um, so I'll see if I can see a brand on it. Uh, Viv, every time you try to get Caran d'Ache, I've been told they're in Germany and won't deliver to Australia. Yeah, Graphwood. Look for the Graphwood pencils. Amazon, like I said, that was Amazon Australia store. But yeah, Officeworks. Go on the Officeworks website and look up Caran d'Ache Graphwood pencils. Okay, for the graphite pencils. Um, I don't think you can get them in store. I think you've got to buy them online, but they were there about a year ago. I haven't checked lately. But yeah, Officeworks in Australia used to sell the Graphwoods. So yeah, definitely make sure you write Graphwood in there. Yeah, perfect. That's yep, Vivian Scott. She started with the set of Carbothellos, a set of Schminky half sticks or Sennelier, up to you, and the A4 pastel matte pad. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, where you can just be really, they're brilliant, like top quality art supplies. Um, but yeah, she's limited what she's bought. She's just bought the essentials, which is what I'm trying to get across, which is perfect. Okay. Um, Let me just check. Um, I'm checking my notes here. Um, so I suppose that one other thing you could try is looking on Marketplace. So I know a few of my students have picked up absolute bargains on Facebook Marketplace or any of those, you know, Gumtree, any of the secondhand shops. I think, is it Craigslist in America? I'm not sure, but somewhere that sells items secondhand, because sometimes you'll get people that they've either been um, gifted a set of pastels maybe, or they've had pastels for quite a few years and they now maybe they're too old for some reason. They've got arthritis maybe and they can't do the painting anymore. There's so many reasons that people have bought sets of pastels and are selling them. So what was it? Who was it? One of my students shared with us. She had a set she'd got from, was it 1926 or some amazingly old set of pastel sticks she'd picked up. It was so cool. Um, yeah, so always check on your secondhand sites, because pastels, it doesn't matter. Pastel stick lasts such a long time that you know, and they're so they last for years and years and years. Um so secondhand set, we would not have a trouble. But again, try and buy something that's a good quality if you see it. Okay. Um, I'm just checking my notes. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, so start with the basics, like what you actually need, like Vivian put in here, the set of Carbothellos, small set of half sticks, and a A4 pad of pastel mat, and that's pretty much all you need, other than your blending tool, which, like I said, even a makeup sponge will work to get by, or Temu has a lot of those fake pan pastel sponge tools, which work just as good. So they're not expensive at all. Yep, look for a bargain on Marketplace, and maybe add to your sets as you need. But if that's honestly, you wouldn't even need to add to what Vivian said she has bought. You might want to go bigger, so you'll start to buy bigger paper. But your sticks and your set of Carbothellos will last you years. Okay. Oh, it was Andrea. Andrea. It was a 1935 set of German pastels. That was just, I would have bought that just to say I had pastels that age. How cool. You wouldn't want to use them. But yeah, 1935, they're probably still perfectly fine. So yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. I have put a link. Where did I put it? It's in here somewhere. It's in the chat somewhere. A link to that Amazon page. Like I said, I've set it up. It is an affiliate thing, so if you buy off there, it makes no difference to you guys with price. I really set it up for ease of use, that you can go and check it out. And actually visually see the products that I use. But I'm pretty sure that's everything I use on there. And yeah, hopefully it makes it easy for you to see. So have Vivian, bigger paper is bigger framing costs. Yes, definitely. But the bigger the work, it looks magnificent, I think. So all right, guys. Thanks for joining me for this Tuesday art chat. And I'm not sure what I'm talking about next week, but I'll see you next week. And have a good week. And some of you guys on here that are in the Creative Barn, I will see you tomorrow morning for our creative play session. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.